This news update is brought to you by the Bahoudi Ministry of State, Department of Communication. The bass player for the rock band Linkin, Dave Farrell, visited Haiti this week and met with local officials in an effort to coordinate aid from the band's charity organization, Music for Relief.
You know, I'm from Linkin Park. When we started Music for Relief, the goal was to be able to try to do something to raise awareness and funds for areas around the world that were affected by natural disasters. We were actually doing a project here in Haiti before the earthquake, and then afterwards got even more involved with the process. So this was my first chance, an opportunity that I've gotten to actually come down here and see things for myself, see the some of the solar lighting that we were able to take part of in the implementation of that, kind of see the effect it has had here, and hopefully get a chance to talk to some people and continue to raise awareness for what's going on here.
Music for Relief was founded by the band's members after the Indian Ocean tsunami struck South Asia in 2004 in order to aid survivors of natural disasters.
That would be absolutely awesome. Ideally, to be able to perform here at some point would be fantastic.
There have been 115,000 downloads to date and $270,000 raised for Haiti. Music for Relief also supports environmental programs to help in prevention and mitigation of future natural disasters. The United Nations General Assembly convened an interactive, thematic debate on Monday, the 11th of April 2011, to examine how strengthening the rule of law can assist in addressing the key global challenges that the international community is currently facing.
All too often, the upheavals we see taking place around the world today spring from a common source: the failure of governments to hear the needs and aspirations of their people. Citizens want a fair say in their future, democracy. They want laws that are publicly promulgated and equally enforced. They want a fair and independent judiciary subject only to the law.
He condemned acts such as the recent burning of a Quran in the United States.
When people deliberately desecrate another's holy book, they may be exercising their right to freedom of expression, but they are also giving voice to hatred and intolerance. I condemn such acts. Rule of law, the very foundations of civilization, is grounded in respect and mutual understanding, not the demonization of the other.
Federal Minister for Foreign Affairs of Austria, Michael Spindelegger,
cry out for reforms that enhance the rule of law. It is necessary that the leaders act responsibly, listen to the voices of their peoples, and take leadership in implementing the necessary reforms. However, such reforms cannot be done overnight, and many countries will require assistance from the international community.
Deputy Permanent Representative of Iran, Ishaq al-Habib,
the international community must not replace the national authorities in the task of establishing or strengthening the rule of law, but only to provide them with the necessary support at their request.
Speaking at the Brookings Institute in Washington, D.C., in the week of the IMF World Bank spring meetings, International Monetary Fund Managing Director Dominique Strauss-Kahn said that the recovery from the global economic crisis was failing to create jobs and that the economic inequality threatened to bring future instability.
For the recovery is here, but growth, at least in advanced economies, is not creating enough jobs. And clearly, it's not the recovery we want. Many people in many countries are facing social crisis that is every bit as serious as the financial crisis.
Strauss-Kahn emphasized the importance of collective bargaining, a point reinforced by Sharon Burrow, General Secretary of the International Trade Union Confederation, who also took part in a panel discussion at the event.
Inequalities can undermine the achievements of the market economy and therefore sowing the seeds for instability and crisis. And when we look how dangerous this cocktail of unemployment and inequality can be, was also associated with often some political tension, when we can see how it's playing out in the Middle East and North Africa. The job crisis is hitting the young especially hard. What should have been a brief spell in unemployment is turning into a life sentence, and we are facing really the risk of a lost generation.
The IMF's World Economic Outlook, released this week, said unemployment remained a major problem, while rising food and commodity prices posed a threat to poor households, adding to social and economic tensions, notably in the Middle East and North Africa. Director Strauss-Kahn said that even after tackling the financial crisis, further global cooperation will be needed to ensure a sustainable and balanced recovery with job creation and fair distribution.
Stability depends a lot on a strong middle class that can propel demand. And we will not see this if growth does not lead to decent jobs. So we will not see this if growth rewards the favored few over the marginalized many.
In a related story, results from a recent Icelandic referendum show that Icelanders overwhelmingly voted no on a government-approved plan to repay Britain and the Netherlands billions of euros lost in Iceland's 2008 bank crash. Almost 60% rejected the deal, with the voting turnout high, the government reported. This is the second repayment plan rejected by the voters. The first one was rejected by 93% last year. British and Dutch investors lost 3.9 billion euros in IceSave, an Icelandic internet bank that failed in Iceland's economic collapse of 2008. The two governments reimbursed their citizens and are now seeking repayment from Iceland. Iceland compensated its own citizens for losses, but not overseas depositors. The increasingly bitter dispute must be resolved for Iceland to have access to financial markets essential to fund its recovery, experts say, and resolution is essential for Iceland's attempts to become an EU member. A quick update on the situation at the damaged Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Technicians and engineers have managed to get robots inside the plant to the most affected areas, and the radiation levels that the robots are sending back are astronomically high. And a worker in those areas could receive a yearly dose in just a few hours inside the contaminated area. There's contaminated water everywhere, just as they expected, only a lot worse. The situation will be remediated over the course of the next several months, according to a new plan released by the Japanese government and TEPCO. You can stay tuned here to Bahoudi.net and BTV1 for more information on the developing story. Before we go, a quick note about the rehabilitation. Hosni Mubarak, the ousted president of Egypt, was taken to a hospital after a heart attack and has been detained by prosecutors in the country ahead of a corruption probe. Egyptian officials are alleging that Mubarak was involved in corruption and possibly killings while he was in office. If you'd like more information on these stories or any others, please check us out online. Our website is at Bahoudi.net.